Hello, Mr. Baskin, and welcome to Computer Science Chats. How are you?
Hi, Victor. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well as well. Thank you. So I prepared several questions to ask you. So could you please introduce yourself and your educational background?
Yeah, of course. So I am Jake Baskin. I'm the executive director of the Computer Science Teachers Association, and we're the world's largest association of K-12 or pre-university computer science teachers. It's a really fun and exciting job. And my educational background, I studied computer science in college at Swarthmore College, a small liberal arts school outside of Philadelphia. From there, I actually became a computer science teacher and took some graduate courses in teaching to become a teacher, which set me off on this fun path of teaching and supporting computer science teachers.
Thank you. So what is it that inspired you to pursue computing as a career?
That's a really good question because it wasn't something that I set out to do from the beginning. I actually, when I went to college, I was sure that I was going to be an English major, and I was really focused on creative writing and poetry in particular. When I got to college, I remember this so clearly. I was taking multiple English classes my first year, and those classes were all about reading and analysis and very little creating, which is what I loved so much and was drawn to. Honestly, I was talking outside of class with a classmate, and there's a person in this common area who worked in the computer science department and heard us talking and said, "Oh, well, you all should try a computer science class." And little did I know this is someone whose job was to recruit more people to the computer science department. But I had actually had a CS class in high school and thought I enjoyed that. I should try this out, and just fell in love. It was so much fun to get to actually make things, and that tapped into that same creative urge that I had. So that's what got me on the CS track and sort of took off from there. And then I said the other piece is both in college and afterwards, I'd always been very interested in teaching. I was a TA in courses, and really enjoyed that experience of working and getting to help folks learn. And so I think that's what drew me into teaching and trying to find a way to teach computer science, which at the time was really tricky. I was a teacher in Chicago public schools, and there wasn't a CS certification, and so sort of figuring out those pathways and challenges along the way.
Yeah, thank you. How would you describe computer science or computing fields in general?
Well, so when I think about computer science or computing, I really think about how it is a way to be able to leverage the power of computing, of computers, and to be able to do things computationally to solve problems in the world and take on new things. And I think a lot of the work or the field is both about understanding what are the things that can be solved computationally, what types of problems can we approach, how can we structure things so that we can leverage this really incredible power of computers to take them on, and then what are the things that we can't, and we really should know this isn't about computing, or this is what is influenced by computing, and understanding those interactions as well.
That's very interesting. Could you describe some of the activities that you do through your work at the Computer Science Teachers Association, and what is the goal of the organization?
Yeah, so as an organization, our overall goal, what we work towards, is wanting to get to a world where every K through 12 student throughout their experience has a high quality computer science teacher who is introducing them to the foundation of CS throughout their K-12 experience. And we focus on that through doing three key things. We, one, want to create and build communities for computer science teachers. If there is a computer science teacher in a school, and there's only a computer science teacher in half of all public high schools, if there is one, they're often the only teacher in their school. And so they need people to talk with and say, this is working, this isn't working, what do I do? So we work to create those communities. We also offer ongoing professional learning so that computer science teachers can grow throughout their career. And then last is we offer independent guidance as an association. We aren't, we are led by our members. Our board is elected by our membership, and we do things like set standards for K-12 CS education and evaluate programs and professional learning so that teachers know what is going to work for them. And what does that mean in my day-to-day? I spend a lot of time thinking about what do we need to do in the next few years to keep that going. So it is less about sitting down and writing a program, although I do get to do that every once in a while, to manipulate data or other things we're working with, and more about trying to really listen to our members and people in the field, and based on what they need and what they're saying, think about what sort of programming and work can we put in place in the next few years to help meet that. And then I'd say also ask people for money to help be able to do that as well.
Yeah, so what do you believe is the most important topic in computer science education?
Wow. So I think the most important topic in computer science education is addressing the clear inequities in who has access to computer science, who is able to even sign up for a class and learn it, and who is supported and welcomed into courses so that they can succeed in CS. We've seen computer science education grow pretty tremendously over the past few years in the US, but there are persistently predictable gaps in who is participating and who is being engaged and succeeding in CS. And that is because of how we teach the course, who we welcome in, who we make space for, and how we introduce it. And so by far the most important thing we can do is think about how do we address the fact that there are fewer young women participating in CS than young men, and there are fewer Black students, Latinx students, and other students of color who are participating in CS as well.
Yeah, and that also leads into my next question. So how can I, as a high school student interested in computing, help in advocating for a more diverse and inclusive field?
I think it's a big question. I think one is it starts in your classes. I think it's important to look around the room, the classroom that you're in, and say, does this represent the school that we're a part of? And if not, why? And ask your teacher why, and ask administration why. I don't think it's on you and to solve the problems from your class, but you're in a prime position to be able to say, this does or doesn't look like the rest of our school, and we need to understand why that is, because it isn't by accident. I think more broadly, also thinking about how you, I guess I'm assuming you or students in general who enjoy computer science classes, how you're talking about that with peers in your school, and what sort of environment you're making and telling people about to help recruit and let folks know that this is a really exciting field where you can have a huge impact on the world.
Thank you. What advice would you have for high school students who would like to get into computer science education?
And when you say that, you mean like become a CS teacher down the
Yeah.
line, or well, one, I'd say it's really teaching computer science is a lot of fun, and brings incredibly unique challenges and rewards every day. And that is something that people say about other jobs, but it really, nothing compares, at least nothing that I've run into yet compares to the excitement and challenges that pop up in a classroom. If you're interested in it, I think the most valuable thing is finding ways to spend time in classrooms and start getting experience helping out as a teaching assistant or in after-school clubs or camps. Here at CSTA, we support something called the CS Honor Society, and working to start a chapter in your school that could lead service projects around teaching others computer science would be a really interesting way to do that. there's nothing that compares to just getting that experience in a classroom.
That's very interesting. Where do you think that computing is going to go in the future, and how can students prepare for it?
Oh, where will it go in the future? I think if I knew that, I would be a very rich person. Um, I think there are a couple of things that I have observed in my career in computing education that I think maybe are predictive of ways to prepare. And one is that uh, there will always be these brand new exciting things that are happening, that feel like everything's changing, but the foundation of learning a core computer science education will prepare you for those. And so I would say don't get too distracted by whatever the brand new thing is, and really focusing on learning the key concepts, building up through courses like Introduction to CS, Exploring Computer Science is a great one, or some of the AP computer science classes as a start is a really great preparation. And then I'd say the other thing is uh, it's not just about the programming. So don't get sucked into that. It's really exciting to be able to have experiences to say, this is something that I think computing can help, or here's an area where we need to think about these other unintended social consequences before we just dive in and let AI solve this problem. And so don't pigeonhole yourself in just programming. Think about the social impacts of computing and how having a really well-rounded education and set of experiences will help with that.
Yeah, connecting to my last question, how would you describe the future of computer science education?
I think we're at a really exciting moment in computer science education. We've had a couple states in the US in the last really just year make computer science a graduation requirement. And I think that will have a profound shift in how everyone thinks about learning computer science. And so I think this next phase is really going to be a dramatic increase in the number of folks who are teaching CS, who are learning to teach CS, and thinking about what can all of our other classes look like if by 10th grade, everyone has had a computer science class. What does that mean about a science class or an English class if you know that there's some of these new things that can be part of how we're analyzing literature, or using AI to create generative art? Like there's really exciting sort of combinations of CS and other subjects that I think will come out of this change.
Thank you very much for meeting with me and for being willing to do this interview.
Oh, of course. It was really wonderful to be a part of it. And thanks for making these chats and for thinking about how to share with folks the excitement of CS and CS education.
Yeah, thank you.